Prospect House Media.
And now, prepare yourself for the only weekly podcast you won't want to miss. Welcome to the Ameritocracy Show with Troy Edgar, live from our studios in Los Angeles and Washington, D.C.
Everybody, I am Troy Edgar and welcome to the Ameritocracy Show. Thank you for tuning in and checking it out. It is greatly appreciated. This podcast examines the conditions for personal and economic growth and opportunity across America. This week, I made a quick stop in Dallas, Texas, and met with Tiffany Caballero, a top Dallas real estate agent and entrepreneur in one of the nation's hottest real estate markets. We talked about the required personal and professional values needed regardless of industry. She also shared the honor, appreciation, and responsibility she feels as she walks many of her clients through the biggest personal investment of their lifetime. I met Tiffany in 2017 as I was establishing a base operation for my consulting company, Global Conductor in Dallas. At the time, many Fortune 500 companies were relocating to the area, which was creating a significant level of consulting and real estate opportunities. Even today, this does not appear to be slowing down. As commerce and our economy transitions, many of us need to relocate to where the opportunities are. When that happens, it's important to get the ground truth, or the information that is known to be real and true. Tiffany provides the ground truth, and empirically, she shows what it means to be authentic. I hope you enjoy. Hey Tiffany, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, very good. Thank you so much for doing this.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Excellent. Being back here in Dallas again, just living the old time memories. And wow, your office right down here where the Dallas Cowboys practice. Pretty nice, huh?
It's nice. Yeah, we enjoy it.
Yeah, it's been a while since you and I have been together. I think I came about a year ago or a little bit longer and met with you and your husband, and we had dinner.
Yes.
And so really always enjoyed the relationship with you and being able to have the opportunity of having a friend here in Dallas. So.
Yes.
So Tiffany, you and I really got together about September 2017. And, at that point, I was doing a major restructuring job with Toyota. I was coming in back and forth to Dallas from about 2014 and realized it was tough living in a hotel a lot during that time period. So at that point, eventually my wife Betty got involved and she says, hey, enough. We need to get a kind of a headquarters set up here. And my company had a lot of other work going in Dallas. And so, and this place was on fire. There was so much work here. Mm-hmm. So we ended up connecting with you. And I remember first getting with you, my wife was like totally enamored. She was like, oh my God, Tiffany knows so much about this market. And, something that you and I talk about kind of off mic was kind of that white glove service. It was, I'll give more examples, but when I actually did real estate transactions with you, it wasn't over at that point. You would help me find contractors to get stuff done. You were working out deals behind the scenes. And
Yes.
So it was just, I really appreciated that. The other thing that I thought it'd be great for the listeners to be able to kind of have an opportunity to meet you is that in my profession in consulting, we're always doing restructuring of companies. Right now I'm working in the federal markets, but when that happens, companies move a lot of people back and forth. And in 2014, when Toyota got ready to move, it was a little bit surprising. It was supposed to be top secret, and the information got leaked to the Wall Street Journal. And so pretty soon it was like a massive a lot of activity to try and get ready to get here. But what it caused is what I'll call just another faction of the Great Migration out of California. It was interesting is that like I would be here with a lot of the top executives, and during the day we're trying to figure out how this restructuring is going to go, and at night I'm going with them with different real estate agents to look at places that they potentially are going to buy. And, some of them, were just totally into oh my God, this is going to be a whole new world.
Yeah.
And so I remember hooking up and getting connected to you and just your knowledge of the market and to be able to kind of go through the process. I also realized early on, you had a lot of stuff going. You were not just somebody that was focused on real estate transactions. You were very entrepreneurial. And, so what I wanted to do is I just, first of all, since the podcast is nationwide, I wanted to kind of give you an opportunity, if you wouldn't mind, to talk to the listeners a little bit about your story and kind of what got you set up to where you're at. We'll talk about all the accommodations and awards that you've been winning here in Dallas. So I don't know if that could be a podcast all in its own. But anyway, if you would just kind of set that up, I'd really appreciate it.
Great. Well, thanks for having me. This is super exciting. I was born and raised here, so I am Dallas-Fort Worth through and through. And I always had a love for real estate. I grew up a Dave Ramsey fan and had listened to him just on investing in real estate. And when I left for college, I went into the ministry right out of college and thought that was kind of going to be what I did. And through different, paths that I took, I decided to start teaching high school. And then my dad, I had been talking to him about investing in real estate because, putting money in CDs way back in the day was a great thing. But, as that progressed and the interest rates on CDs went down and down and down, I was like, let's do something else with your money and the safety of investing in real estate. And so I finally talked him into starting to buy foreclosures. And so I was teaching at the time and hadn't really thought of doing anything else. And then it turned out that we started buying more and more foreclosures. And I loved it. And so I ended up getting licensed. And I just started doing real estate full time and have not looked back. And it's been such a gift. And I still do deals with my dad, but predominantly I am just a, residential buying and selling realtor.
Yeah. How do you keep up with the Dallas market and know kind of what's going on? I think that was the hardest part, is being an executive coming here. There's a lot of data points. This area out of the Fortune 500, it's probably got well, it actually does. I think 53 of the Fortune 500 are located here, more than New York or California. And people get here, but it's such, people think it's just Dallas, but Dallas and Fort Worth are like 20 something miles apart. Yep. And most of the people that come into this area go north into Plano, Frisco, yes, McKinney, and Denton, all of the different areas. So it's hard to figure out where to start and to kind of understand the real estate prices. And so I was just kind of curious, like from your perspective, how do you keep up with the things that are going on here?
I think it's important to stay close to the fire, in real estate. I am plugged into my brokerage. We have trainings on, what's going on in the market. I read a lot. I sometimes pay attention to the news and sometimes I don't, because, sometimes things can be on fire when they're really not. But right. I think that staying, keeping your finger on the pulse of where you live is super important. And our MLS, shows every day what's happening, what's coming on, what's going off, what's pending. And so, we have so many people moving here every single day that it's growing at leaps and bounds. So yes, most of it is just staying plugged into the other realtors and my broker and lenders and, finding out what's happening.
Once you started building kind of momentum in the market, I know at this point you've been, I think, over 10 years.
I'm going on 13,
13
yes.
years, yeah, in real estate. You've started to get noticed here in the local market. Can you talk about some of the things? I know in the D magazine there was some write-ups on you. I kind of still keep track since I have stuff here.
Yes, as you should.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. D Magazine puts out a magazine every year on top producers and then top choice realtors. So they're different. A top producer, you have to produce so much in order to get into that category. And so I've hit that category, for several years. And then, of course, you get voted on by your clients and friends and family on just being a top, real estate agent. Mm-hmm. And so that has been fun. And then there's also a group called Real Producers, and they nominate or choose the top 500 agents they've got sections, areas. And so I've consistently been top 500. I can't even remember how many years that's been. So yeah, it's wonderful. And I love that they do that because, it makes you feel good after all your hard work.
Yeah, well, I also think it's a little bit of a credential. It's when you're looking for people, you're trying to see, hey, how are they recognized in their industry?
Right.
And, when you are going through this process, something that I've noticed with you, and this is, even after, we haven't done a transaction for a bit now, but I noticed that the marketing in this industry has changed. And just to draw a parallel, so in the consulting side, marketing and branding are a big deal. People are starting to realize, hey, we need to, you need to put yourself out there a little bit to kind of put yourself into a market. As even in some of the biggest consulting firms, they're not even as interested in focusing that you have to be the person for that firm. They want you to profile your eminence, whether you're the top finance person, a supply chain person, your strategy, restructuring. And something that I've seen you do really well is your branding and building the image of what you're doing and your client base. Can you talk a little bit about that and talk about it in the terms like that people that aren't in the real estate industry would realize, because you seem to kind of be hitting on all cylinders.
Yes. I think marketing is important for realtors. I think it's important for people to see the area. I tend to lean towards relocations. I actually have a YouTube all dedicated to people that are moving to Texas. And the whole point is to let them see what it looks like, what homes are going for. What are you going to get at $500,000? What do you get at $1 million? What do you get at $2 million? Because coming from California, New York, Florida, which is a lot, and Chicago are kind of a lot of the people I work with, you don't know what you get. And California, you're going to get a lot smaller house for the price point that you're going to get here. So it's fun for them to be able to see neighborhoods. It's fun for them to see what private schools are around, what parks and all kinds of things are, because you don't know what it looks like. And so I think the video is essential in real estate, and so that's why I started hitting video really aggressively the last couple of years, because it just helps with the visual perspective to out-of-town buyers.
After we do the interview and we put this up on our site, we'll also post one of your videos. I want people to see kind of what's possible.
Sure.
It was interesting. I was telling you before we got on mic is, like I said, I have different parts of the U.S. where I have real estate, and I always try to keep on. And one of the ones that you had done just recently, what will 1.2 million buy you? And it was like, let's take a look at this because it changes. Hey, stepping back, a lot of activity, a lot of people you see kind of coming in, and again, like I said, just reaching out even past real estate is like. Early on in your life, you definitely had some obstacles to overcome. I'm really into people's, personal testimony to see, a lot of times that helps me kind of gauge, the type of person, how they overcome stuff, and really a lot of times how they conduct themselves. I remember, Betty and I meeting with you, I think down here at Legacy, and you talking to us a little bit about your childhood and some of the stuff you were doing. Can you share that with the listeners?
Absolutely, yeah. So I am actually a childhood cancer survivor, and I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I was diagnosed when I was 8 and was on chemo for about a year, lost all my hair. Which is incredibly difficult as a child. It's bad when you have to wear earrings so people can tell if you're a boy or a girl. So, but yeah, I think it ultimately formed who I am beyond my mom, who took an intricate role in who I came to be. Just the tenacity and the drive, the love of people. When you go through something like that, even as a child, it marks you and it forms you. And I just think it kind of gave me my fighting spirit and my desire to overcome and to always root for the underdog. So it did. I attribute a lot of who I am today to going through that, and then also going through it with my mother, who was just super steadfast in all that she did for me. And I think a lot of my entrepreneurial spirit came from her, working all through that and seeing her work her job and yet show up for me. There was never a memory I had that she wasn't there. So even though, at the time she was a single mom, she's since remarried, but she's just a stud. And a lot of that formed who I came to be, in just all of the great aspects that were there for me during that hard time. So, yep.
Yeah. Big focus of the podcast is to really look at stuff like that, those types of obstacles. Some of the research when I was going through to kind of prepare to talk to you, you had made some comments about fear and kind of looking past it. And I would imagine at 8 years old, when you really don't know what the world still has in store for you, let alone, here you are. One of the quotes that you had out there is you thought many of the people were afraid to take a leap and didn't want to, they were kind of afraid to involve too much work. And, so your perspective on being able to know the right time to make the leap, or, like a lot of the stuff that we talk about on this show is like the preparation required, the hard work, but you got to have the opportunity. And sometimes a lot of the people that I know totally are ready, but they don't want to take the risk. And so I don't know if that kind of resonates with you at all.
It does. I think I've put that online on social media because I feel there are so many people out there that they don't make choices that would fulfill them more in life because they get really comfortable with where they are currently. And I have tried so many different things as an entrepreneur. I mean, real estate is kind of my core and my foundation, but I'm always thinking of other things to do because I'm a huge believer in multiple streams of income. And I have fallen on my face so many times, and I think the difference between what I've done and what somebody else that is too scared to do those things is the fear of failure. And I mean, what is there to fear? Like, if you fall on your face, all you do is you get back up. Right. And if you detach what you think people think about you and you make your future more important than that, and your creativity and your drive to do something you're passionate about, then falling on your face doesn't feel so bad because you're like, oh, well, that didn't work. Let's try something else. And I feel like there are a lot of people out there that won't make that step or that leap or that jump because they are scared. And so I just have always really tried to encourage people, get a community around you that champions you instead of tears you down. Like, I've got so many people in my life that they're always wondering what I'm going to do next. They're not like, oh, why, are you sure? I don't know. They're like, okay, Tiffany, what's next? Because I have fought for that type of community and tried to attract that type of community that everyone wants you to be successful. And therefore you turn around wanting everybody else to be successful. And so, yeah, I do. I put that on social media a lot. And I do it also because with branding, a lot of people think you're just successful because you're branding yourself that way. Social media is a complete highlight reel. And I think it's important for people to know that I fall on my face. That I climb the hill and I've rolled down that hill in terrible, head over foot type of ways that, and then you land at the bottom and you're like, crap, how did I get back down here? Because so many people compare themselves to what they think you are. And I do think it's important for people to understand that, no, not everything's a success. But at least I'm out there trying. And I'm totally okay with people understanding that I fall on my face sometimes because that's what true community and true authenticity is. So,
No, I think that I definitely see that too. I think, sharing with you parents that definitely probably gave me too much credit than I really deserved, but they just kept, so you kind of feel a little bit like, I never really kind of looked at stuff and said, I don't think I can do it. It's like, is that something I want to pursue? And that's pretty strong difference.
Yeah, I agree.
Because, if you feel like you're limited at certain points, and we all are, and natural and a lot of different levels. But I think, like you were saying, facing cancer at an early age and then being able to kind of look past it. I mean, what else could be worse than that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely helped set me up.
Talking a little bit about, the different customer base that you have and the investment stream. In consulting, there's different layers of, I'll call it customer base. Like right now, like I said, I'm in federal, but I've always done large Fortune 500 companies. And, in consulting, you kind of gauge yourself in and you work into that stream, and you can always go down, but a lot of times it's hard to kind of cleave your way up. I have friends in California that do real estate, and they usually find a spot, their sweet spot, and they just do really good.
Mm-hmm.
With you, it's interesting is that I think your way of stratifying the market. One of the things that you had said that was looking at was like, I have first-time buyers, and I have high-end clientele, and then I've got investors. And a lot in between, and then your philosophy that you talked to Betty and I early on too was different revenue streams. People that are trying to do this, trying to look for the very end of the road. What am I going to have once I retire? Or they just want to get the best house they can for right now. So when you are going through this process and you're trying to get your sweet spot, do you really focus on all, or do you just end up, being able to kind of get into a certain area and you're able to kind of, the word I've heard in real estate is farming or stuff like that?
Mm-hmm. I think that I have done it all. Mm-hmm. And I truly believe that every price point and every buyer or seller deserves a white glove customer service and experience, because wherever they are on the spectrum, it's probably their largest purchase or their largest sale. And I believe that needs to be honored. And there's a lot of integrity that goes into that. Personally, I tend to get luxury buyers, but I have a team that, we all work together. And I think, everyone from investors, because I do believe in multiple streams of income. I own an Airbnb. My dad and I used to have about 15 rental properties that I ran all the property management on. Wow. And got them all for us as the agent, and did all the market analysis to figure out if they were going to be income producing. So I've, bought and sold multiple houses, helped people in, $100,000 lots all the way up to millions of dollars, for one home. So I don't know if I would say I have a niche beyond. As I've progressed in real estate, I tend to stay a little bit in the luxury market. Mm-hmm. But man, I love all. And so I feel like if somebody, is starting their real estate journey, or, smack dab in the middle of it and well off, I'm here to help, and we'll give the same customer service for everyone. And I think that's why I've stayed as a top producer, just because of the level of love and care. I mean, buying a home it's an intimate thing. It's not just something you throw around. And I've never been the type of agent that pushes people into buying a home that isn't a fit. I have told every single person, I don't know if I told you this, but most everyone that kind of maybe comes off fearful or feels like they're not going to find what they're looking for, I have seen it over and over and over, that you'll walk in and you'll know. Mm-hmm. And you have that feeling like, okay, this is it. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what I live for, is that look on their face of, all right, Tiffany, this is it, let's do it, And so it's a fun thing, but that I feel like, I attract a large audience in buyership.
Yeah, when you're going through, you talked about your dad being a mentor a lot. And a big part of the show is to try to give ideas, both, how do you use your mentors and what do you do to mentor other people to help them through? I guess starting, your dad definitely had some significant influence. And then you were saying off mic, you were starting to work with a whole group of people pulling through. Can you talk a little bit about mentoring in your field?
Yes, yes. My dad, who's actually my stepdad, but I call him my dad because he's certainly earned that title. He is an amazing man and just really taught me a lot about business and thinking through things and not putting all of your eggs in one basket and living conservatively. And so I feel that you need to pay that forward anytime that you have somebody that pours into you, that it's almost your role to give back. And so whether it's in real estate, whether it's in any of the other things I've chosen to do, cryptocurrency, investing in any kind of capacity, I think give and take. So I do mentor a lot. I don't mind, other agents calling. I don't mind other people reaching out to me to ask me questions, and I may not have all the answers. I know that I don't, but it's awesome to know that you've been poured into in your life and that you can pour back. So that's always been a big deal to me is giving back to people.
Today we're sitting here outside where the Cowboys practice and do all that. It's got to be exciting being here. When I first started coming here, 2014, this was dirt. And when we started getting involved with the Toyota project, the Toyota executives that were doing it were very involved with a lot of the real estate people. So they got a good deal where they put the headquarters, but there was no headquarters here either. That came up from the ground. And about halfway through, after the headquarters was getting ready to open, I had an opportunity to meet with the executives and Roger Staubach, who's a star here. And I didn't realize how in-depth into real estate he was.
Yes.
Super nice guy, but just he really went from being this unbelievable football player to putting together a lot of big deals. I know probably more commercial than anything, but this facility, I would say anybody that ever comes out here to the Dallas area to go north and check this out. How long have you guys been up here?
Well, my family's been up here, for probably 15 years. They moved out to Frisco way back when the prices were much cheaper. Frisco's on fire just because of everything that's moving here. We started off with Toyota, and then the Dallas Cowboys moved up here. Whether you're Dallas Cowboy fans or not, they're here. And, we just got the PGA of America. We're about to get Universal Studios. And so everything, I feel, is moving north. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, I see, because we office where the Dallas Cowboys office, we see them a lot, and they'll come walking through, and, we're like, oh, there's Zeke, or, ooh, anyone else. Yeah. But it's been really neat to be their partners and to get included on the fun events. But the whole north corridor of Dallas-Fort Worth is booming, and people that are buying now, I mean, they've even predicted, I know that so many people think that the housing market's on fire. Specific to Dallas-Fort Worth, we have stayed so strong, and they've predicted that this year, we'll see an 8% appreciation growth from January till December. So even if people are buying now, they're going to get 6 months of that, so maybe 4% appreciation. And so looking at, Frisco, Prosper, Salina, I mean, Sherman's about to get $30 billion of infrastructure because of TI moving out there. Wow. So it's incredible what's going on here. It's a great place to invest or to buy. Yeah, no,
Don't talk to my wife anymore, please.
Betty.
Yeah, you've done enough damage. So, but yeah, it's interesting. I think that kind of the attributes of this business climate. My headquarters is California, and I spent a lot of time in DC. But having a place here, there's an option, at some point. But no personal income tax, pretty attractive.
Very.
And then if you have a corporation and you move it here, you don't pay income tax. There's a different sort of taxation, but a lot, pretty competitive with a lot of the different states. But I think when you're looking at the investment capability here, it's very attractive as a business owner, and it's super attractive, like you said, if you get to the end of your career and you're wanting to get into a place to get the most out of your money on a kind of a fixed income, or being able to plan like that. Going at the very end here, just to kind of think a little bit about summarizing like your career, the obstacles that you've overcome. You've been able to really establish your market eminence in a place that is pretty hardcore. I mean, it definitely has competition, and it is one of the hot spots in the United States right now. It continues to be. I know Florida's definitely coming up on the heels, but I follow a lot of stuff in California, and it's people always ask me, Troy, why do you stay there? And it's like my family's there,
Right.
all of the things that that I value, that I think it would be hard to leave. And so what I always do is try to pick up on the things that work in different areas and figure out, hey, maybe someday to be able to help influence different policies to make California take it to a different level. But it's definitely been suffering a lot. So when you're looking at, for the listeners, and you're thinking about all the stuff that you've been able to accomplish here, anything that you'd like to leave the listeners with, and in a perspective that might be helpful to somebody listening to this, that might be thinking about either coming here or getting into real estate?
I think, well, like I said, the Dallas-Fort Worth market has always remained consistently strong. And investment-wise, I think you can buy here and know that in the next couple of years it's going to appreciate. We've seen so much appreciation. Even when 2008, 2009 occurred, Texas was one of the least hit, states hit, and we bounced back really fast. Texas proves itself to be a very strong state. Our fiscal, standing is very strong, and we don't have the state income tax. Property taxes are a little bit different, but they're trying to work on that. Mm-hmm. And so I think if you want to do any type of residential real estate investing, that we're strong, and it's kind of a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. Moving here, you're absolutely probably going to get more for your money than places like California, New York, and potentially even Florida. Mm-hmm. But it's just a really great environment. We obviously lean conservative, mm-hmm. and so I just think that it's a good move. Outside of real estate, what I would say to anyone is, pursue what you love. That's why I love my life. I love real estate. I love helping people. There's so much to being a realtor that I don't think people look at, mm-hmm. That fulfills just so much love, because it's not just about home sales. It's about finding what is best for your client and connecting with your client and being authentic and real and giving them the facts that they need, not what they want to hear. Mm-hmm. And really helping them move into what they want their financial future to look like, because your home is a big part of your financial future. And so I would say, alongside me, be authentic, love people where they are, and invest wisely, and always have multiple streams of income. Mm-hmm. We don't know where the world's going to go. We don't know where technology is going to take us. Who knows what real estate's going to look like in 5 or 10 years. So it's important to be well-rounded in all of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Tiffany, this has been so good to get reconnected with you.
Yes.
And to see you. And I know when we get done here, we're going to take a little walk out there on the Cowboy Way.
Yes.
So, and anybody that's listening to this, we'll post a couple pictures of us getting silly out there on the what looks to be a little miniature football field. So, yeah. So thank you so much, Tiffany. I really
Thanks
appreciate
for having
it.
me.
Yeah. You have a good day.
You too.
Okay. Thanks again for joining me today on the Ameritocracy Show. Be sure to follow me on social media and our website at troyedgar.com, where you can get more information and sign up for my weekly email. I hope you have a great week.